WABG, the Delta's leading news source.
Hello and welcome to the ABC 6 News webcast. Well, a crop of marijuana plants with an estimated street value of $10,000 discovered following a helicopter flyover by the Army National Guard near the Bolivar and Coahoma County line. The Mississippi Bureau of Narcotics, the Mississippi Highway Patrol, the Army National Guard, the Cleveland Police Department, and the Coahoma and Bolivar County Sheriff's Department seizing 30 to 40 marijuana plants around 3 o'clock Wednesday afternoon on a vacant plot of land. No arrests were made and no idea how the plants wound up on the land. The marijuana plants were confiscated by the Coahoma County Sheriff's Department. The Army National Guard deploys helicopters for such missions by the agency several times a year, searching for suspicious activity. Meanwhile, renovations on one of Greenwood's busiest streets is well underway. The city is giving Main Street a facelift, with more than $1 million being spent on the project. City leaders say a grant from the Mississippi Department of Transportation covering the majority of the costs. And once the renovations are done, Main Street will look more like a boulevard, featuring a median and street lights. Renovations are expected to wrap up in late November. Well, in sports, time to unveil this week's Delta Touchdown Club Top 10. And no surprise as to who the number one team is. It's the 5-0 Eastside Trojans. They're followed at number 2 by 4-0 South Delta. Then a trio of one-loss teams rounding out this week's top 5. Charleston at number 3, Shawinigan at number 4, and Washington School at number 5. And Gentry begins the second half of this week's top 10, one spot ahead of Rosedale. The Eagles at 7 and riding a rare 2-game losing streak. Greenwood High, Cleveland High, and LaFleur County round out this week's top 5. Meanwhile, Saturday, Mississippi Valley on the road at Northwestern State. A win, and it's the first win streak for the program since 2009. They picked up their first win of 2012 a week ago on the road at Southern. Saturday, the final game of 3 straight on the road for the Delta Devils. But head coach Carl Morgan not against all the time spent away from home.
And I think when you play on the road, there's a certain sense of unity that you can get because you're kind of by yourself. The players are interacting with one another more so than anybody else. And so they kind of got to depend on one another. And I think when you have 3 games in a row, you know, it can either divide you up or it can bring you together. And I think this is starting to bring us together.
Kickoff Saturday in Natchitoches set for 6 o'clock.
You've been watching the Delta's #1 news source,